All right. Next up on the Next Man Up podcast, we're talking Georgia versus Auburn, the Deep South's oldest rivalry dating back to 1892. This was a night game, primetime game at Jordan Hare Stadium in Alabama. You know that stadium was piped up. And they were also retiring Cam Newton's number 2 jersey. So you already know what type of atmosphere that was. Electric to say the least. Final score Georgia 20, Auburn 10. Georgia moves to 3-1 in conference play, and Auburn drops to 0-3 in conference play. Georgia captures their ninth straight win in the series. This has been almost a decade. Kirby has Auburn on lock. He does not play. It's almost a decade. Goodness gracious. This game was truly a tale of two separate halves. Auburn dominated the first half. Georgia dominated the second half. Auburn came out hot, scored on their first two drives, touchdown, field goal. Ended up having 227 yards in the first half. It looked like it was going to be a insane game for Auburn, and they might have run away with it. Everything changed, though, at the end of the first half. Game-changing fumble by Auburn at the goal line. Auburn, like I said, had been moving down the field with ease, 227 yards in the first half. Last drive before halftime, they're moving the ball down the field, get it down to the goal line, QB sneak for the touchdown, so they thought. Fumble call. Bang bang play. I mean, it looks like I've seen the play live. I saw it live. Saw several angles after that. I mean, the review was who knows how long on TV, and who knows. I can only imagine how long it was being there in person. Bang bang play. It from my understanding, from what I saw, it looked like the fumble happened simultaneously as Jackson was crossing the plane of the goal line. Balls punched out at the same time. It's bang bang play. And the really key to it is the officials called it a fumble on the field. We all know, those of us who watch football, the call on the field takes dominance, especially in these bang bang plays where it's very hard to determine what it is and what it isn't. They called it fumble on the field. I mean, it's a clear recovery by Georgia. It's not even a debatable on that. And they ran it all the way back. I'm also really not sure why Georgia wasn't given a touchdown for running all the way back. But I'm not the referees. I'm not making the calls. End of the day, Auburn fumbles the ball on the goal line. They don't score. They're already up 10-0. It looks like they're going to run away with it. Who knows what would happen in the game if they would have scored and went up 17-0. From that point, though, Georgia goes down the field. Couple other bang-bang questionable calls on that drive. Nonetheless, they get down the field. They get a field goal for halftime. They go in at halftime 3-10. Georgia gets the ball out of half, and they just run away with it from there. They score 17 unanswered points. Well, I'm not lying. 20 unanswered points, 17 in the second half, including that field goal at the end of the first half. And they held Auburn scoreless in the second half. Auburn had 227 yards in the first half. They ended the game with 277. They had 50 yards of total offensive production in the second half. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. You cannot expect to win a game, especially in the SEC, with 50 yards of offensive production in the second half. Unless you got a world beater defense. Unless you're moving like Ohio State this year, if you moving like early 2000s Miami, and your defense is just like that, 50 yards of offensive production isn't going to cut it. Like I said, they had 227 yards in the first half, only 50 in the second half. Unacceptable. Georgia, I mean, the tail is different for them. They had 213 yards in the second half. And they had 296 total for the game. Most of those yards came in the second half. It seems like it's crazy to say the fumble changed the trajectory of the game for both teams. I don't know what it was. I mean, looking at the game, Georgia came out hot in the second half. I mean, they looked like they were going to score in that first drive, and they turned over on downs on another questionable officiating call where Auburn jumped off sides and it wasn't called. But that's neither here nor there. And I got to put out this disclaimer as well. I've heard a lot about ref ball or the ref trip control the game. That has nothing to do with terrible offensive production in the second half. The refs can make bad calls or good calls. The calls have nothing to do with you playing terribly in the second half. The refs are not the one on the field putting out offensive production of 50 yards in a primetime game. In a game that's really a trap game for Georgia. It's a night game in Jordan Hare. That is not an environment that's easy to play in by any means necessary. But like I said, Georgia came out, got the win. Gunnar Stockton played well. 24 of 37 passing for 217 yards, also with 9 carries and 26 yards on the ground, and that running and touchdown in the last about 2 minutes of the game. He had an 84.0 quarterback rating, and they just, like I said, they dominated the second half. They had the ball for just, if just not even, let's not even just think about the whole second half, just the fourth quarter. They had the ball for almost 13 minutes of the 15-minute quarter. Just think about that. They had the ball for almost 13 minutes of a 15-minute quarter. That's what you call control. And that last drive before they scored, before Gunner ran it in, almost 8 minutes long. Almost not 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes long. They held the ball. They kept Auburn in check. Auburn only had the ball in that fourth quarter for about 2 minutes. C.J. Allen, second half, game as a whole, 10 tackles, 6 solo tackles, 1 sack. They dominated on defense in the second half. And I really honestly can't even, I'm not gonna lie, this is not on Auburn's defense. I mean, it's not on Auburn's defense. They did what they did. I mean, they held them to 20 points. Auburn just, offense didn't produce. Jackson Arnold was 19 of 31 passing, 137 yards, 13 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown, 52.2 quarterback rating. That's not gonna cut it. And I'll give you the second half drive sheet for Auburn offensively. Turnover on downs, punt, 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 and turnover on downs to end the game. I mean, I watched the game live like everybody. I don't know what happened to Jackson Arnold in the second half. The decision making wasn't there for Hugh Freeze. I don't really think the play calling was there. And then really just not even just the decision making for Jackson Darnold, but the throwing. Some of these balls were low balls, throwing ducks as we like to call it, throwing ducks. And in a primetime game like that's especially the second half in a very close game, up until the very end, you can't have that. That's not what you want. Unacceptable offensive production for Auburn in the second half, especially when they came out as hot as they did. That's ultimately why they ended up losing the game. Like I said, final score Georgia 20, Auburn 10. Next game, Georgia plays number 5 Ole Miss Saturday at 3:30 down in Athens. Game day is in town. It's going to be a massive, awesome, electric atmosphere in Athens. I can only imagine. In Auburn, they're going down to number 16 Missouri in another primetime game. Missouri's coming off a loss. Alabama. Ole Miss also, I mean, I got to double back to Georgia. Ole Miss coming off a close game to Washington State. They did not look great in that game. They could have lost that, to be honest. Probably should have lost it. Back to Auburn. Auburn plays number 16 Missouri, coming off a close loss to Alabama, so I'm sure they'll be fired up. We'll see what happens in this next week.